The village of Eldermoor was ancient. Whispers followed it like shadows. They spoke of a hidden treasure, a treasure of immense power, but the whispers also warned of a terrible price. It was a price for greed, a price for those foolish enough to seek power for themselves. The villagers knew the legend. They passed it down through generations. It was a story told to children, a cautionary tale whispered around hearths. The treasure, they said, was hidden deep within the heart of Eldermoor Forest. The forest was ancient, its trees gnarled and wise. It was a place of mystery and magic, a place where the veil between worlds felt thin. The legend spoke of a powerful artifact, an object of immense magic and wisdom. It was said to hold the knowledge of the ages, the secrets of life and death, the power to shape reality itself. But the legend also warned that this power was a double-edged sword. It could bring prosperity or ruin, life or death. The elders of the village knew the truth of the legend. They knew the power of the treasure. They were the keepers of the secret. Their duty was to protect the treasure, to ensure it never fell into the wrong hands. Generations ago, a group of wise men and women had come to Eldermoor. They were led by a man named Arvind. Arvind was a scholar, a sorcerer, a sage. He understood the power of the artifact. He knew the danger it posed. He had spent his life searching for a way to control it, to use its power for good. Arvind and his companions had journeyed far and wide. They had consulted ancient texts. They had braved perilous dangers. Finally, they had found what they sought, a way to bind the artifact's power, a way to make it safe. They returned to Eldermoor. They chose the village for its seclusion, its connection to the ancient magic of the forest. They hid the artifact deep within the woods. They wove protective spells around it, spells that could only be broken by those who possessed a pure heart and a selfless mind. Before they died, Arvind and his companions passed on their knowledge. They entrusted the secret of the treasure to the village elders. They made them swear an oath to protect the treasure, to ensure its power was never misused. Generations passed, the legend of the treasure faded, it became little more than a children's tale. But the elders never forgot. They guarded the secret jealously. They passed it down from one generation to the next. Raghav was the youngest of the elders. He was a kind and gentle soul. He had always been fascinated by the legend of the treasure. He spent hours poring over old scrolls. He listened intently to the stories of the elders. One day, while exploring the attic of his family home, Raghav stumbled upon an old chest. It was hidden behind a pile of dusty furniture. He could feel a strange energy emanating from it. A sense of anticipation filled him as he lifted the heavy lid. Inside he found a leather-bound journal. Its pages were filled with faded ink and intricate drawings. As he opened it, a wave of magic washed over him. He recognized the handwriting. It was his great-great-grandfather's, the village elder who had guarded the secret before him. The journal contained a detailed account of the treasure, its location, its power, its dangers. There were also instructions on how to find it. A map, drawn in a strange, intricate language. Raghav realized this was no mere legend. The treasure was real, and he held the key to finding it. Raghav knew he could not keep this secret to himself. He gathered his two closest friends, Sanjana and Samir. Sanjana was a skilled tracker and hunter. She knew the forest like the back of her hand. Samir was a scholar and a strategist. He had a sharp mind and a thirst for knowledge. Together they studied the journal. They deciphered the map. They prepared themselves for the journey ahead. They knew the risks. They understood the dangers, but they also knew the potential rewards. If they could find the treasure, they could use its power to help their village, to protect it from harm. They set out into Eldermoor Forest. The trees seemed to watch them as they passed, their branches intertwined overhead, creating a canopy so thick that little sunlight penetrated. The air was heavy with the scent of pine needles and damp earth. The only sounds were the rustling of leaves and the distant calls of birds. They followed the map carefully. It led them deeper and deeper into the forest, to places where even Sanjana had never been before. They encountered strange creatures. They faced perilous obstacles, but they never gave up. Their determination spurred them onward. Their friendship gave them strength. After what felt like an eternity, they reached their destination. A clearing bathed in an ethereal light. In the center stood a massive oak tree. Its branches reached towards the sky like gnarled fingers. Its roots spread out in all directions, forming a natural barrier around the clearing. It was a place of ancient power, a place where magic pulsed in the very air. At the base of the oak tree they found it, a chest. It was not made of wood or metal, but of some unknown shimmering material. It pulsed with an inner light that seemed to beckon them closer. The chest was intricately carved with symbols and runes that glowed faintly in the dim light. It was clear that this was no ordinary treasure. With bated breath and a shared look of trepidation, they lifted the lid of the chest. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, lay a book. It was bound in ancient leather, its cover adorned with the same glowing runes as the chest. As Raghav reached out to touch it, a jolt of energy surged through him. The book seemed to thrum with power. It was more than just a collection of pages. It felt alive. It held within it the weight of ages, the whisper of forgotten tongues, the echo of ancient wisdom. They knew instinctively that this book was the true treasure of Eldermoor. As they opened the ancient book, its pages seemed to shimmer and shift. The language it was written in was archaic, filled with symbols and glyphs they couldn't decipher. Yet, as their fingers brushed against the aged parchment, understanding flowed into them. It was as if the book itself was sharing its knowledge, its secrets, its warnings. The book spoke of a time before Eldermoor, before even the ancient forests that surrounded it. It spoke of a civilization that wielded magic as effortlessly as they breathed. A civilization that had reached unimaginable heights of knowledge and understanding, but it also spoke of their downfall, their hubris, their thirst for power that ultimately led to their ruin. The book was a chronicle of their wisdom, a testament to their mistakes. It contained spells and incantations, forgotten lore and potent rituals. But more importantly, it held a cautionary tale. A reminder that power without wisdom and compassion was a dangerous thing, a force that could corrupt even the purest of hearts. As they delved deeper into the book, they realized it was more than just a historical record. It was a key to understanding the magic that flowed through Eldermoor, the magic that thrummed beneath their feet, the magic that whispered in the rustling leaves and the murmuring wind. Raghav, Sanjana and Samir closed the book, their hearts heavy with the weight of what they had learned. The power it contained was immense, almost beyond comprehension, but so too was the responsibility that came with it. They understood now why Arvind and his companions had hidden it, why they had entrusted its protection to generations of village elders. They swore an oath that day beneath the watchful branches of the ancient oak, an oath to protect the book, to safeguard its knowledge, to ensure its power was never used for selfish gain or to cause harm. They knew the temptation would be great, that others might seek the book for their own ends, but they were prepared to stand guard, to become the new guardians of Eldermoor. They returned to the village, the book safely hidden away. They didn't speak of their discovery, not yet, but they began to use the knowledge gleaned from its pages to subtly guide their people, to heal the sick, to protect their crops, to ensure the prosperity of their village. Eldermoor flourished under their care. The harvests were bountiful, the people were healthy and happy. The village seemed to vibrate with a newfound energy, a sense of peace and harmony that resonated outwards, touching even the deepest corners of the ancient forest. The legend of the treasure lived on, whispered around hearths and told to wide-eyed children. But for Raghav, Sanjana and Samir, it was more than just a legend. It was a responsibility, a legacy. They were the guardians of Eldermoor, the keepers of its secrets, the protectors of its magic. And they would ensure that its power was used only for good for as long as they drew breath.